if I could, all the brave survivors who took part in making this film. You trusted us with so much of yourselves, with your hearts, with your anguish, with your triumphs, and I'd like you to ask you to stand up. We're all so blown away by your courage and your bravery. It's just staggering to like unzip and open up and just, you know, we all come together in this big room, feels so small, right? It's so human and it's so brave. You know, I was talking to somebody today about, I think that there's such strength in vulnerability. So many people try to be tough, but your strength is in this, and your power and your vulnerability. So I salute you. I'm so inspired, and I'm blown away by what you have given all of us. So thank you for that. And we dedicate this film to you and to survivors everywhere. So thank you. If I could, I would just like to give a few thanks first to my amazing, phenomenal film team. I don't have words for you. First of all, Trish at LASIK, who has given 3 years of her life to this. I call her Trish. I never met a problem I couldn't solve at LASIK. Who's also our producer and co-director. And next to Geeta Gandabir, our other co-director, who did such a beautiful job. I just want to shout out to everybody, our film team, Mark Levin, Tony Hardiman, Viri Lieberman, yes, Richard Hankin, and Wendy Blackstone. Thank you all for your artistry and for your passion and your dedication, and you all taught me so much. So I say thank you to all of you. And huge thanks to our executive producers who extraordinary generosity made this film possible. Lauren and Myrna Bromley, Suki Novogratz, and Regina Scully. And a huge thank you to our associate producers, Pam and Mark Murphy, and Lorraine Cook. And I want to give a special thanks to Miley Zambuto and the heroic team at the Joyful Heart Foundation, who has been carrying the torch to end the backlog for the past 6 years, and for being our social action partner on this film. And we created our website, so if you go to I Am Evidence, the movie, IamEvidence.com. Also want to thank Artemis Rising Foundation and Fork Films for their support and commitment in helping us bring this movie to life. So thank you for all being here, and God bless. We did it.
I'd now like to bring up directors Trish Adlesic and Geeta Gandabir. Thank you. Erica and Kim.
We have feedback also. Here we are.
Yeah, please give them another round of applause. To the audience, you know, I'm not going to take up too much of the time, so I really want you guys to, you know, start thinking of some great questions, because this film brings up so much for a lot of you. So I just wanted to hear, especially from Trish, Gita, and Mariska, how you guys all came to the project, how you guys all came together. What was your kind of the evolution of making this film and how you guys all connected?
Well, we started with this film because this has been Joyful Heart's #1 advocacy focus. This is what we've been doing. We just felt that, the rape kit backlog, as we stated in the movie, is a perfect microcosm of how women are treated in this country. And so we thought it was a perfect way to explain the problem in a succinct and compact way. And, people are outraged. Nobody can believe this. We all assume this is America. If a woman is raped and, has the courage to come forward and get a rape kit done, you would just assume that the kit is tested. So we, Trish and I have been wanting to work together for a long time, and Miley and I, the CEO of Joyful Heart, have been sort of talking about for years our, waiting for Superman moment. This was our vision, our dream to, do a movie where everyone would feel absolutely outraged, and that's how, you can't help but feel outraged. I was, just shocked. I couldn't believe it. And I remember doing a, what's it called?
Even K.
No. What's it called when you do No, it's, Deborah, when you do the satellite media tour. Thank you. I'm very tired, people. No, I was doing a satellite tour about the rape kit backlog, and one journalist after another couldn't believe it. They were like, wait, hold on, what? Wait, what? The kits are not tested? And said, no, they're not. So this is something that we learned about, and everyone, and then Kim's doing great work, and Trish and Gita and I, and this is just the perfect way to wrap it up. But it was Joyful Heart's #1 advocacy.
Do you guys want to speak a little bit about how you guys came to the project?
Yeah, I just also wanted to, before we answer the question, acknowledge Michelle Breton and Nicole DeSanto. Yeah. They are the real life things. So if you please stand up, please. I've known Mariska for 19 years and worked with her on the show, and I was always a fan, but I was such a fan of her wisdom and her advocacy and activism. And I learned about the rape kit backlog through the show and through her voice. And so when the opportunity came to work with her on the documentary, I certainly jumped at it and did everything I could to gather as much information to bring this story to life with her. And it's a monumental moment because no one can say now that they didn't know. There's no turning back now. It's out. And so we are all evidence, and we have the opportunity now to actually do something to change this.
I can quickly say that I was brought on board by Trish, who I worked with also on other documentaries, and we focus a lot on our careers on social justice issue documentaries. And of course, this is an incredibly important film. It felt, the minute Trish told me about it, I was hooked. It's an issue. It's obviously, this issue encompasses so much. There's so many issues in this one film that matter. This film talks about systemic and structural racism. It talks about violence, basically discrimination towards women, violence against women. It's a public safety issue, and we wanted to make a survivor-centric film that helped bring this issue to light. And I think that's why we're all here.
Absolutely, yeah. And what I found so stunning about this film is how there's so much pathos in your subjects. How, as filmmakers, did you give the subjects the room to speak about their experiences and tell their stories? Finding that balance of asking the right questions. Again, stepping back and just letting the subjects have the room to really tell their story on their own time and feel comfortable in the kind of interview process. So
yeah, it's really a conversation. That it's as if someone were on the phone with you or came to visit you. And you seek out, wanting what is it that you want to learn. So when you write your questions, they're pointed at the specific journey that you think they might have experienced. And for example, when Erica, I was looking for someone that didn't yet have her kid tested in Detroit, and I knew the minute she walked in the room, when she had her I Am Evidence t-shirt on, that I was about to have a profound experience. And I'm going to sing now.
I'm ready. I'm ready. No. It is well with me. It is well. And to kind of piggyback off what Trish was saying about the experience being interviewed, it was a conversation. For me, this was a secret for me for 11 years at that time. And I had been doing the work with various agencies from the top down and helping other survivors in this area, and afraid, to be honest, and to trust someone with my truth, and to even face that issue. And so the very first time I met Trish, I was afraid, but I knew I had to face this thing because it came back to me for a reason. And if I didn't face it then, I didn't know if I would have another opportunity, because I ran when Ms. Worthy told me to follow up with her. And I was just terrified. And so going through the process and getting to know Trish and Gita and everyone, Mark, I cried when I saw Mark earlier because it was so much love in that room for me to tell my story with confidence and with peace, and to know that I was safe. And these past 2 years of filming for me, I was also prosecuting my case. And so to continue to push to accomplish the goal of making sure that the greater goal would be met, so that other people would find healing and safety, I knew I had to find something. And so I'm thankful for Miley and the Joyful Heart Foundation and Mariska. That just getting an email from you was enough for me. That just carried me all the way through. But the interview process, it was good. It was very comfortable. After a few times meeting with everyone and feeling safe, and just being able to be transparent became easier. And it also became easier for my daughters because they lived through this process with me, and I don't take it lightly at all. I thank you for this opportunity to share my story and to help others on another level.
I would agree with the sentiment that having the space to tell the story was, yeah. So I'm not entirely okay. Like, I still have special things I need, and yes, survivors are all different, but as someone else has mentioned, it's only part of our identities. And the fact that you talk about talking with us as having a conversation, we're not a different species, we're not, and it's the stigma being removed by just being able to talk about it, see others talking about it, seeing a room full of people listen to those stories and not feel ashamed is deeply empowering. And there's stories that we've been telling, but we didn't have the platform to have them shared and amplified this way. And that's something that I'm tremendously grateful for from the bottom of my heart.
I'd love to open it up to audience questions now. I'm sure you guys are all, yes, right there in the center.
I have a question, but I want to say two things. One is you're extraordinary women. Extraordinary women. So this hits me particularly hard because this is my biggest fear in what is slowly unrolling to be more of a war than I had any idea about. But my question is to Erica, what the fuck happened? I don't understand. Why? The DNA, I have to ask this because we're left all of us waiting to receive. Why DNA match? Was he not the way?
And so I'm very happy that you asked that question. Extremely happy that you asked that question because I don't know. None of us know why, because we weren't allowed in the deliberation room with the jury, with the 13 people that made that decision. In my opinion, the reason being is because we need more education in our communities about what constitutes sexual assault and what constitutes consent. What does it actually mean, so that when the people that are sitting in the jury box are hearing these stories and testimonies, they can identify victim blaming by the defense attorney. My defense attorney was good. I was on trial more than my assailant, and it wasn't fair, and I had to show my underwear to a courtroom full of strangers, basically, by going through this trial. And so I think that what happened is that there's not enough education in our communities, and that's what we need to continue to do, is educate men and women on what it actually means to be sexually assaulted and what constitutes consent.
Next question, yes, over here.
I have a question to the prosecutor. What do you think happened in terms of her case?
I think probably exactly what she said. It also depends on the judge that you get and the judges that we elect. And remember, I was a judge for 9 years in the same court, in the trial court. And it depends on the experience we have. We have a judge, that was a particular judge that wasn't that experienced before you were elected. In Michigan, you can run for judge if you have only 5 years of being a lawyer. So we don't know. We don't know what happens in any jury trial, be it sexual assault, child abuse. We just don't know what happens in that room. We aren't in there. We do the best we can. We have very talented staff that do these cases. Our conviction rate on these cases is extraordinarily high, but sometimes it happens. And I think Erica voiced it nicely. We just don't know, but we can only suspect and continue to do the work that we're doing.
Time for just a few more.
Hi, I just wanted to first of all say thank you so much for this film. It's incredible. I still have goosebumps, and I'm so happy that more people are going to be able to have the chance to see this and become informed. And I'm a first-year law student right now, and I know that the backlog and the statistics and the stories that were shared are one of the biggest reasons that I decided to go to law school. And my question is for Ms. Worthy, just as someone who wants to become a prosecutor and is going to be entering into working for this system in a few years, what's the biggest piece of advice you have for young lawyers who are going to work for a system where this culture is just so deeply embedded? And I'm sure you've had days where it just seems hopeless.
It's very difficult. There are all kinds of things I could tell you about being a prosecutor, but the first thing, you have to be a people person. You have to be committed to this. You don't get paid very well. You work long hours. When I was an assistant prosecuting attorney, I sometimes stayed the weekend in the courthouse just to get it right. And so you have to have that dedication, that commitment. And I've become pretty good at spotting people when they walk into my office about who's going to be a good prosecutor, who's not. But basically, in my town especially, I want people who can talk to anyone. People who will give just as much respect to someone in any profession, regardless of their race, their color, their orientation. If you can respect the person that you're talking to and you're going to prosecute for, that's half the battle. The legal knowledge, which you're not going to get in law school when it comes to prosecuting, because law school is very defense-oriented, and that's all right, but you don't learn how to be a prosecutor, you learn by doing. And if you can work with people every day and have that knowledge and be willing to put in the time, you can turn into a very good prosecutor. And I'm looking for good ones all the time.
And you might want to get a red cape.
All right, we got time for just two more. Yes, sir. And,
Is this film going to be shown in like witness schools and it's going to be distributed abroad?
It's going to be shown on HBO. We don't know when yet, but it's going to be shown. But we are setting up screenings all over the country, and go to the website.
www.imevidencethemovie.com. Right here in the front.
Are there numbers of how many kids haven't been tested here in New York City?
No. Well, this is actually
In New York City.
a great question. Do you want to answer it?
Well, go ahead.
This is where the backlog started again, and there were over 17,000 rape kits at the time they were discovered in the late 90s. There was a swift approach taken. All the kids were tested, and prosecutions went up from 40% to 70%. So New York City does it right.
New York City got it covered.
Grants at universities across the country. Kid Initiative. This is a great town where a lot of great things are happening across the country for this issue.
But it's not true in all towns. There are towns that have discovered rape kits.
Go, please.
Not true in all towns. There are towns across and cities across this country that discover rape kits and they're not doing anything about it. So I feel this tells a story. It's a conversation. It's a conversation with everybody didn't want to get into. In my town, it was very difficult to get started. Nobody wanted to help at first. But we do have cities across this country where rape kits are being discovered, untested rape kits, and people are not doing anything. So I think you can't be human and not feel something about this. And I'm hoping that one of the biggest things I'm hoping that some of those cities who are sitting on this, who see this film, will be moved to do something about it. I don't care if their kids are decades old. Ours went back 35 years. And if we can do it, I think everybody can. So I'm hoping, and I thank Mariska and Joyful Heart and Trish and everybody involved. I think this will uncover so many more, unfortunately. But fortunately, I think that many more rapists will be taken off the street eventually if people do something about it. And you can't watch this film without being moved. So I expect a complete overhaul of the way untested rape kits are treated in this country.